Hi there, it's Gabrielle from SpeechKids, and welcome to the Friday Facebook Live. I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered if your child's speech and language development is on track? Have you ever worried that maybe it's not? I wanted to explore sort of some of the reasons why people might not ask for help, even when they're having these questions. And I think sometimes maybe the biggest reason is there's so much variability, and so we think, oh, they'll just catch up, it'll be fine, even if you're a little bit worried. And so we sort of put off making the decision until for later, basically, just sort of a wait and see. There's so much going on in the early years and the toddler years especially, where you're just trying to get through the day, right? So it's coming is maybe what we'll think. But if that thought keeps recurring, if you keep wondering as a parent, like, I wonder, my child doesn't sound like other kids, or they're not speaking as clearly as some of their friends. What's holding you back from asking somebody to help you with that? A speech and language pathologist is a person who knows what normal looks like. They're a person who knows, and I'm a person who knows a lot about child development and speech and language development. And sometimes just asking a speech language pathologist or a speech therapist, to sort of look at your kiddo and answer those questions that you have can make all the difference. It can, number one, get them into therapy earlier if that's what they need, or you can have peace of mind and say, nope, I had the professional look and nothing's going on. We're all good. So that's one thing. Now, sometimes parents, sometimes you ask your pediatrician, and I'm trying to say this diplomatically. Pediatricians are not always the best source of referral. They see a lot of kids for a short amount of time, usually. And there are some pediatricians who spend a lot of time with their families, and that's amazing. In the United States, anyway, the healthcare system is not really set up for that. And so they may not see the thing that you're talking about, and they may, have experiences with overly worried parents, and sort of want to do a wait and see approach. But I trend on the other side. I think if you, the parent, are asking yourself, is this a problem? It's worth asking somebody who can tell you if it's a problem or not. And so sometimes the pediatrician is the person that helps you get to the next step, and sometimes they're not. So I think, some of that has to do with, like, just get a second opinion. If you hear something that doesn't sit well, so if you go to the pediatrician, they say, no, just, don't worry about it, and you're still worried about it, ask somebody else. And that's not to say you should be shopping for a diagnosis. That is not what I'm talking about. Because the last thing that I try to do in my practice is to give people diagnoses that they don't need. And sometimes we get it more right than others. But what we do want to do is catch kids early. And you, the parent, are the best resource for that early recognition and identification to happen. You're with your child. You know your child. Nobody else knows the things that you know. And so, if you're able to bring that information to somebody who knows what lens to look through. So if we're talking about speech and language development, to a speech therapist, to a speech language pathologist, and you bring that to them early, then there are so many things that we can do to help little people communicate better and more clearly and be less frustrated, and getting them into therapy early, again, if that's what they need, is just really effective. Early intervention works. And so if you're asking those questions, I would just really encourage you to seek those answers sooner rather than later. And so I wonder, what's stopping you from asking a speech and language professional about your child's language acquisition or your child's speech clarity. What's preventing you? Is it the schedule? It might be, because the schedule is crazy all the time. Is it that you're worried that you might hear something that you don't want to hear? That could be it too. And if that's the case, I would really encourage you to reach out to a speech and language professional. Hi, Gillian. Thanks for being here. If you have questions, ask them. Ask them now. Ask them when you have them, because oftentimes those questions are coming from your gut. They're coming from intuition or a feeling that you have that something isn't quite right. And again, it's not that we're going to go out and diagnose everybody with everything. That is not the thing. The thing is, if your child needs help, let's get your child some help. Or if your child needs, something else figured out, let's figure that out sooner rather than later. Because here's the other thing that happens, right? If your child is having some difficulty, and we'll just keep it to speech and language, if your child is having difficulty with speech and language, at some point they're going to realize it. And at some point they're going to get frustrated. And when we get frustrated, then we're building on layers and layers of other behaviors. So they may shut down. They may appear to lose confidence, and not talk when they want to. And then we've created like a secondary list of things that we have to deal with, when we could have just dealt with the talking problem if there was one. And so again, early intervention, it works. There's really good clinical evidence-based research to show that it works. And it just makes treatment, if your child needs it, it makes treatment a whole lot easier. So there you go. There's some thoughts for the day. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.